I I will start with calling the roll. Ms. Cece,
Here.
Ms. Gibbs, Mr. Goodwin,
Here.
Ms. Brock, Ms. Remsen,
Here.
Ms. Penn Williams,
Here.
Mr. Wells,
Here.
Ms. Palladino Christopher.
Here.
Great, and I am here. So the next order of business is to review if there's any corrections, but to accept the minutes from our meeting, our public hearing meeting that was held on the 25th of September. Do I have a motion to do that?
I move
And
to.
I'll make a motion and go ahead, Scott.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Diane, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'll make the motion and then speak to it only because I think it needs a correction, but I'm not sure.
Do you think
And then
it needs
Scott-
corrections? We should probably speak of that now before we make a motion
Yeah.
to accept them.
So in the second to last paragraph, for the public hearing with Miss Obachowski was speaking. I
Yes.
think the last sentence there is literally cut off. So I don't know if maybe Tedesco can just go by the actual recording transcript to fill that in, but it looks like that sentence was not completed as to what her public comment was, where it says she expressed dismay that some of the first acting district residents, and then it stopped, and then it was the next thought on the charter language. Thank you.
Okay, that would be, we would actually need to go back to the transcripts of that. So I will suggest that we accept these minutes with those adjustments. Does everybody?
I will move. Okay, yep. I
Go
don't know
ahead.
if I need to move again as amended from the transcript.
Right. I don't have access to that transcript as we speak, so it will have to be done. We can accept it and then with that change. Is everybody acceptable for that?
Yes.
Okay, so the meetings, as we've discussed, amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next order of business is to have a discussion concerning a few things. One, our approval of the final PowerPoint presentation. Then we will be approving the recommendation for redistricting opportunities after each census. We had forwarded that out. Everybody should have a copy of that. And then we need to separately approve sending those two items to council. Then at council on the 8th, they will from that point have, I think it's 45 days to consider acceptance or adjustments. Okay, so what I'd like to do first is I know there's public that would like to speak to this, so I am going to see who is here.
Actually, really quickly,
Sure, Scott.
Diane, what you had just referenced, I do see, I went back to the full PDF and I am seeing additional content.
Okay.
Again, about the minutes from the public hearing last week.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I then have, were there two different versions that were issued or?
This is what Esther had sent us. I don't know, let me see. She sent it out on Monday.
With the agenda, correct?
With the agenda, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because the one that I have with my agenda has that cut off, but if you're seeing something that's the rest of what the comments are, I just think it's really important because it was the public hearing, public comments,
Absolutely.
And you know, in addition to all the good feedback that Mr. Vitowski gave us, but if you guys are all seeing that there, and for some reason, I mean, it's not
I
a
can share
printing
my
issue
screen
because
if
I
you'd
see the
like. I
whole
just,
rest.
yeah,
Okay, all righty. Thank you, Scott.
yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Ken, do you want me to share my screen really quickly just to clear it up? And I'm not trying to make you wrong, Diane. I'm just, you had me
No,
worried. I was
that would be
too
great,
quick to
Scott.
rubber
And then
stamp something
we
that
will
maybe,
put that in as the official. Thank you.
sure.
Okay, so we're set, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so one of our participants or attendees is Elsa Ovechowski. She has her hand raised. And Elsa, I am going to give you the floor to speak to the committee. You're muted, Elsa. There you go.
Thank you so much. I would like to let the committee know that the First Taxing District Board met this afternoon, and we unanimously decided to have our legal counsel send a letter to your entire committee, to Attorney Brian Candela with the city, to the mayor and to the Common Council, voicing our concerns about the proposed plan, and encouraging that the plan that was submitted in July by Mr. Wells should be looked at again more carefully, that the concept of his plan, you know, even if someone might say that the details didn't fit as well, we knew with the criticisms that were given at the time, that the concept of that plan is far superior because it does not move First Taxing District residents into districts other than A. And it's a 5-page letter, so I'm not going to read it to you, but you will receive it in the probably tomorrow morning. So it was just emailed within the past hour. So I wanted to make you aware of that. We strongly feel that it's important to keep First Taxing District residents in District A. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. And we will anticipate that Attorney Candela will address it with the committee. Thank you. So what I would like to do is I'll ask the committee, do we need to go back over our recommendation, our options? Do we need to do that? Because if we do, I will IT will put that back up on the screen.
I was just
Discussion.
if one of the proposals, one of the options moved less of the first taxing district than the current one.
Right. Do we does the committee feel that we no longer want to accept what we accepted previously? Because our issue is we need to have this done by the council meeting next Tuesday. So adjustments can be made after we submit to council, and I am sure there'll be discussions through council of possible changes, but we need to seriously consider, are we going to go back to the drawing board or not? So Diane, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Well, I would just suggest, and I'm saying this having not had the benefit of seeing what First Taxing District is sending into Corporation Counsel's office, that if there's anything that we can do tonight that would help to prevent some sort of a lengthy either a legal challenge, there wouldn't be an appeal of this until the Common Council votes on it, of course, but that process couldn't start. But if this sounds like it's a legal challenge that has some premise in like defining a rationale for why they're challenging it based on a district versus district A and C, the taxing district, I think it's probably worthwhile to discuss it tonight. I know none of us were probably expecting that, but now that has been brought to our attention, it
Our-
probably makes some sense to
Our,
revisit those portions.
our issue is both of both Sam and Preeti are not available. So as far as making any possible adjustments, that couldn't occur until they are back on Sunday, October 6th. So that would require, if we're going to make some changes, that we would need to formulate some kind of special meeting on Monday prior to Tuesday's meeting, or we can address this after council has reviewed our recommendations.
So can we revisit, do, they want to keep it the way it is, correct? Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
yeah, and again, based on, I don't want to make any assumptions, as Diane indicated. I don't want to make any assumptions until we see what their attorney presents to Brian Candela. And so I don't feel at this point we should speak to it, because we don't know specifically what they're asking. The changes that our recommendations indicate are all along that East Avenue corridor. So that would result, if we do not do that, that we still need to adjust A, and we still need to add to C. So those, C had the least, A had the most. So yes, they could be making recommendations to adjust to, I don't know what they're recommending.
Sure.
They could be to B, to D, to E. But at this point, let's see what they're recommending and then address it. That would be my thought process, but I'm one of the committee here. So
So should we move forward, or should we just wait until we know more? Because I can't see us moving forward until we know what we're up against.
I would tend to agree with Brenda on that from just one point of view, Ken and everyone else, is that if what's involved in this challenge, and again, we haven't seen what the document is, questions the determination that this committee's already made, that there is no correlation between a taxing district that's under their own charter and the council districts. If there's something in there that would lead us in, to believe something other than we've already decided, it's
Right.
probably worthwhile to understand that tonight,
Yeah,
before that
again,
goes forward. Now,
right,
but-
I agree. What my thought process is, and again, I'm one of the commission here, is when we initially started this, we asked the outside attorney, Attorney Mednick, how do we approach this? And his indication was we need to consider both the census blocks and adjustments to those census blocks. And that's what this committee has done. And if there's some alternatives that can address what the first taxing district wants, I would assume we would have found that, a solution for that. And but again, I don't think we should address this at this point without seeing specifics as to what they're requesting.
I agree. And I pulled up the last map, and that shows both the taxing district lines and then the census block lines. And I feel like, short of seeing what Ms. Obachowski's concerns are, and actually reviewing it with Sam and Preeti, we're all just talking about angels on the head of a pin at this point. Nobody knows or can actually speak to it. So I would say, it's for when we have the expert outside
Right.
consultants back.
So some logistical considerations. One, if we're going to, if this was going to be on the October 8th Common Council agenda, it needs to be submitted basically by today, but they know we were going to be discussing this evening.
Sure.
So they had requested first thing tomorrow morning to verify that this gets on the October 8th council meeting agenda. So I will be having a discussion with Attorney Candela first thing in the morning, but if we do not approve this, I'm not sure we can facilitate meeting our date goal. And that would mean, do we extend what happens at this point?
Hey, Ken, let me just
Yeah.
make sure I understand the steps in the process properly,
Mhm.
because based on my understanding, I would be comfortable going ahead and approving this the way we've drafted it, with the understanding that Ms. Obachowski's concerns can be raised to the Common Council when they review it, that they will
That is
have the
my
same documentation
understanding.
that she referred to,
Right, that is
and
my understanding,
and
because,
that based
go
on
ahead.
that, yeah, oh, no, I'm just saying. So we submit it as we've drafted it out to the best of our abilities. That next Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the Common Council meets again to review it,
Tuesday, and
Tuesday,
everyone's invited.
uh, I'll be in Boston, but I'll
Okay, anyway,
try to
you're
call
all
it
going to,
on the road.
if we
No,
approve
no.
these, we all receive an invitation to
Sure.
attend Zoom or
But
in
from a
person.
timeline perspective,
This is Brenda. I'm
Yeah.
not comfortable with voting for it because now they have lawyers involved. We ought to really wait to see this is my opinion only. We
That's
ought to
fine.
really wait to see what's going on with the lawyers being involved. But so I'm not going to vote for it. That's just me.
That's totally understandable. Again, this was just brought up to us, and until we know there's the specifics that district, the taxing district, first taxing district is requesting, and a perspective from the city of Norwalk's attorneys, I think that is probably our route. How does everybody else feel?
Ken, I see Stuart has had his hand up for a while, but I also
I'm
would ask,
sorry. I'm
Did
sorry.
it also indicate that you, as the chair of this advisory committee, did you receive a copy of this correspondence today?
I honestly was made aware of this verbally a half an hour before our meeting, and that it was in process, and that Ms. Obachowski was going to be speaking to us this evening. But I have not received a document. I have not, since our meeting, I have opened up. I have not looked at my emails. But Stuart, please speak to us.
Just a point of clarification.
Thank you.
She mentioned my original suggestion or something, basically that if you, of course, don't take out of the first taxing as that joins District C on the east, then you'd have to come out of District A3 Spring Hill, basically, and you'd be moving other pieces around. And just so you understand that, then it's kind of possible to do that, although you'd either have to move a lot of A3 or you'd have to take the odd part of what is now A4, but isn't divided by doesn't follow the census blocks. And it would have, that idea would have come in just a bit under 10%. It was basically an idea of how you could sort of kick the can down the road, get under the 10% and wait for the next time to consider it. And it does involve very much, as Chairman Giurienzo said, if you can't do it directly between A and C, then you got to take one block from another block from another block and move them around.
Stuart, does that jeopardize your polling places? Does that?
Well, no, less, presumably, depending on the details, only because then all of the taxing district is within one, or which is now two polling places, but is self-contained, doesn't cut across the lines. as much, although you'd have to take the two pieces that are on the east to get it within the 10%. But of course, more could be taken out of A3. Basically, I'm just saying, Ken, you were right. The only way to do it beyond going directly between A and C is to take from A on the west, move it into something else, take from that, move it into, you'd have to move a bunch of pieces around the edge.
And my
I just
concern
want
there,
to
Stuart,
clarify
is
that that's what it was about, and it was very early on, so
And
that's what
C
she
was the
referred
smallest,
to.
right?
But I haven't, I'm not part of any of her proposal beyond saying what she referred to and how that worked and confirming that your understanding of the only other way to do it. Okay,
Thank you for your input, Stuart. It looks like Elsa still has her hand up, so I'm gonna ask her.
yeah, she should certainly talk.
Go ahead, Elsa.
Sure, I just wanted to clarify, because you were saying you don't know what's in the letter, and obviously it's a 5-page letter again. I don't want to read it to you, but in essence, what we're advocating is to use the same concept that Mr. Wells had proposed. So we would take from A3, move residents of A3 into District D, and then move some District D residents into District C. So it's kind of a clockwise motion. And
But we still need to address, Elsa, the fact that A has substantially more people than any other district. So we
Right,
have to move people from A.
right, so A3.
Okay,
A3 is not part of the first taxing district, nor is A4. So both of those are perfectly, as far as our board is concerned, that's fine. So I just wanted to clarify that, because you were saying that you didn't know what it was we were asking for. So our letter doesn't go into specific detail of, addresses or chunks of map. It is conceptually just advocating the same idea that Mr. Wells had proposed.
thank you, Elsa. So at this point, if we need to address this after our city attorneys have addressed this, I'm gonna be recommending we meet on Monday, because I don't think we have another alternative. I don't know. I'm hoping everybody is available. I'm hoping we can facilitate this. I'm hoping we can put an agenda together tomorrow, and that's enough notice for Monday. And I am also hoping that the attorneys can review this and we have access to that. And I am also hoping that both Sam and Preeti will be available on Monday. They are away and not back until Sunday. So, and based on that, I think we probably, if we're not going to forward these, if we're not comfortable forwarding these items to council, I make a motion that we adjourn until Monday. Does anybody have, actually,
Ken, is that-
Diane, I'm sorry, people's hands are up and I was just involved. So Diana, I'm gonna call on you and then Diane. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think that we have to understand and take a look at the letter and the position of the first taxing district. But then I also think as a committee, we kind of know legally where things stand, and that, in terms of the taxing districts and what our goal of the committee is,
Right.
what we need to do. But with that, obviously, I do feel like we need to table until Monday and take a look at those concerns and, address them effectively, because I think it's important for us to know the concerns. And then with that, additionally, I do think it's going to be difficult because that district deviation is there, and also District C still is lacking in terms of numbers as well. So moving things from A to D, may not give us the
No,
numbers that we need in C. But I guess that's where Sam and Pretty are gonna come in, and we're gonna be able to kind of, take a look at everything. So yeah, I totally agree. I think we need to table until Monday.
Thank you. Diane?
Yeah, just a couple of points. I would say that it's, generally easier to pull something off of an agenda than add something, especially when it's council. So if you wanted the item to go on the agenda and maybe not the resolution or the backup at that point, you might want to do that, Ken, on the chance that
Right,
on
so
Monday, right, and if
my,
all falls apart, then you pull it. The reason why I'm anxious to see the document too is I think there's two distinctly different things that could be going on. One could be that the commissioners of the first taxing district are concerned with something that just kind of fits more nicely in place for their constituency to understand who represents them, or that they may see that there's a potential hardship because of different ballots, or maybe having to go to a different polling place. That's one scenario. But if what's in this inquiry or challenge or whatever you want to call this document, if it relates to something that's questioning the charter for either first taxing district or its relationship to the city charter, that's a whole different ballgame. And that's what I'm more concerned about, because, that's where the real legal issue is versus the kind of, nice to have, and it would be great if everything fit comfortably in there. We've already beaten that horse, regarding the, we can't ever really align the census blocks with kind of the, I don't want to say the arbitrary taxing districts, but in this case, that's almost what they are, even though they're by their own charter.
right, I think we need to think about, does does the charter take precedent, or does the state regulation that we were asked to do, does that take precedent? That's something for the city attorneys to make a determination about as we move forward.
But then I think you're saying that you're going to have them advance this as an agenda item. But there would be, but we're not voting tonight then to actually approve the item for a resolution on Tuesday until Monday night.
Well, the challenge is the reason, if we were going to put motions through to approve these and then put motions through to send them to Common Council, is they need time to review the documents. So the idea was, if we did all of that this evening, that the council members would receive these documents tomorrow, and they would have time between then and Tuesday to know what is being presented. If we have our meeting Friday evening, it's not really enough time for them to logically be able to review what we're submitting to them. So that's our challenge here. So I will have a conversation with Attorney Candela in the morning. If we're not willing to submit what we've already done, and it may mean it's not being submitted on October 8th. And I will email, and I'm sure Brian Candela will also email all of us tomorrow relative to this. And I just have one other statement, is this committee has been diligent and dedicated, and I appreciate everybody's input here. We're a really good committee, and I'm proud of the work we've done. And I think we're coming to some valid decisions, and it is good that we've had input from all of us and input from the community to make our decisions. And with that, I make a move to adjourn.
I'm gonna hold up, only because I
Good.
see some hands raised while you were
Oh.
saying that, so.
Okay, I see that Diana has something to say. I don't see any
That's,
other hands
that's
up.
right. I'm sorry, Ken.
Yeah,
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
thank you. I just wanted to understand, so now what we do is we don't push anything forward. We don't present anything. We meet Monday, and depending on the conversation and the content of the letter, we discuss that, and then we potentially have the opportunity to move it forward for Tuesday, the 8th, or is that then delayed?
As I indicated, Diana, what I was advised from the legal counsel of the city of Norwalk is that they required everything usually by the Thursday before the Tuesday council meeting. They've tentatively put us on the agenda, but did not officially do that because there's documents here that are involved that you have to officially do that. And that was going to be done tomorrow morning if we made those motions to approve the documents and then made the motions to approve them, to send them to council. That didn't occur. So I'm not sure at this point, without speaking to Brian Candela, what our situation is for the October 8th council meeting. And we don't have access to our consultants till sometime on Monday.
Right. And I see another hand raised, Ken. Sue?
Oh, Sue, go right ahead, Sue.
Hi, I was just wondering if we approve it, that gives the council time, like you said, to read it, think about it, and then also consider what, the letter coming from the first taxing district has to say. But it doesn't mean that they have to vote on it as it is, right?
Correct. And
It-
that's, Sue, that's why I was saying I'm happy to vote to move it forward tonight and
So
bring
that's
Miss
the point,
Obachowski's
right?
recommendation in.
The
And then
point is,
next week, when
I'm
the
sorry.
council meets, they have Miss Obachowski's information, they have our information, and they can say, committee, go back and do it again. We have some concerns based on what she's raised. And at that point in time, we can revisit it. And that's the only reason I was saying I'm happy to go forward with it tonight as we've drafted it.
To speak to what Scott just said, we could submit what we discussed in our September 25th meeting at our public hearing. And that would get submitted to council for them to review and consider at their October 8th council meeting, but they don't act on it for up to 45 days from that point. So that would give the council, the reappointment advisory committee, the first taxing district, and any other involved parties a chance to make adjustments. And the council could make those adjustments, or we could make those adjustments. Based on that, how do we feel?
Yeah, I think I'm okay going forward with that because I still feel that it's contingent upon us having the opportunity to actually pull it on Monday. In the worst case scenario, that there's something in the document that, really compels all of us to say it can't go forward the way we approved it. And we will have known that, I would assume, by Monday, right? The other thing is too, is that I think if I read the ordinance correctly, that it's still the common council, that if there's any amendments made, I believe that the common council can't do it on the fly on the floor. I think it requires a public hearing after that. So that may be another question to have answered on Monday. I'm kind of back in Scott's corner just to say that because we don't know what's in the document, I'm okay moving it forward contingent on us being able to pull it if we're meeting on Monday night, which I think, did we decide we're meeting Monday night for sure?
I will try to facilitate that. But Also, I would like to have a conversation with Brian Candela first thing in the morning and then advise everybody moving forward. Hopefully, we're all available on Monday evening to do this. But if we submit this to council as we submitted and discussed on September 25th, that's not a final approval.
Right.
So we can address this even after it's been submitted to the council.
Can I,
And
can
that's my point. So
Yeah, I tend to agree with that just because I think that we're all confident in kind of the understanding that when the taxing districts collide with like the constitutional standards, the districts can be accommodated with the shared polling places. So I don't think that we're doing a disservice by pushing forward the plan. I think that maybe we just have to have a conversation and see where the commissioners are coming from the taxing district, and maybe help, discuss the census blocks versus the versus the way that Stewart's plan shaked out. So that's the way that I'm kind of agreeing. I mean, I think we should put something forward.
So an unofficial show of hands, do we look to move forward with our recommendations?
I do.
Okay, so then the first order of business would be to us as a reappointment advisory committee approve the PowerPoint presentation that was given on September 25th as what we will submit to council. Is there a motion to do that?
Oh,
I'd like to make-
I move that we
Okay,
move forward with what we presented in the council chambers on the 25th of September.
is there a second? Sue, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. The next thing we would need.
No, wait, put no for me.
I'm sorry, it's a no for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeses and one no. Yeah, I just didn't see you, Brenda. That's why everybody else raised their hand, and I'm sorry. And the next item for our approval would be the recommendations that were outlined in a separate document. And I'm going to ask IT if they can bring that up on the screen. If not, I will read it aloud. Perfect. So the thought process behind this document is that we set a standard for review, and that's what thankfully we've incorporated Stuart's process here as far as dates, and so we would be looking to set up a procedure for the districts on a 10-year basis. And then Stuart provided about being under the US decimal census table, that the census data is going to be released approximately in 2031, information late 2031 or early 2032. And they're doing some state legislator precinct maps that should be in place by that time. And it has basically been some full-time work over 2 or 3 months. So by 2032, in Norwalk are supposed to be in a state system with GPS locations, which hopefully will help this process. And then the city reappointment should be done in 2032, as we've done this year, in time for the 2033 municipal elections. Is there any discussion on this?
The only thing that I would add is some specificity to the last part of it. Stuart, I think you have referenced how long it takes to actually prepare for an election. So are we saying it should be complete by October 31st, 2032, or is that too late for you?
Well, none of this is gonna be for me, probably.
No, I know that. I'm
And that's okay.
looking for your advice.
It's just, my only point is that the cycle should be as soon as you can after the census. 2023 would be the first time you could do it, because it doesn't really come out till 2031. You can't do it that fast. So they can set their own schedule. The legislative is not completed until early 2032, or the 02 year.
Okay.
And even though the votes are then later, it's just really in time for the process to begin on the election calendar. And then if you proceed after that, really it'll be plenty of time for
Right, wanna let them out quick.
2023's districts. So almost any time, if you do it in 2032, you'll have time for 2033.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm looking to,
Put her on a leash.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Sue. Let's mute you.
Okay, so I'm looking that we make a motion to approve these recommendations to council. Can somebody do that?
I'll move it, Ken.
Thank you, Diane. Anybody second?
I second.
Thank you. Could we have a verbal approval? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Okay, we were all in favor. So at this point, what we need to do is take both of those things that we've discussed and make motions to submit to council. So this is a motion. I will make the motion to submit the PowerPoint presentation from our September 25th public hearing to council for their consideration.
I
need someone-
second.
Thank you, Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Verbal? Aye.
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 Okay. Brenda, you were opposed to us accepting it. Are you approving to send it to council?
I'm not, but I want
Got
to
it. So you're a no. That's fine. I just wanted I wanted to be clear.
You're
That's all.
sending both documents, right?
That is correct.
Mhm.
Okay,
And you
so
will be on
maybe I
record that
should
you
probably,
said no.
should I probably abstain? I don't mind this other, the
Brenda,
request that was,
you have the opportunity to do whatever you would like.
okay, well then just say no, okay?
Okay?
Okay, even
And-
though I voted for it, I'm saying no, because I don't know if I should
That
abstain.
makes sense. I get it.
Makes sense.
It's packaged up with something else that you said no to, so you don't want
Okay,
That's
to
why
send
I
mixed
wanted to
signals.
clarify,
it.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next
Okay.
order of business would be to approve to move to council our recommendations that we just reviewed. I need somebody to make a motion.
I'm sorry, Ken. What's the difference in this motion versus the prior one?
The first one was for the PowerPoint presentation. This is for the recommendations that we just discussed.
Oh, I thought we
Oh, no,
just
that's what Brenda
approved
was
both
just-
of them.
The
Yeah.
first one that was for we
Good
just
girl, Memory.
approved sending
girl.
the PowerPoint to council. Now we're approving separately. We have to do them separately. I
Nice.
clarified that. So now it's an approval to submit to council our
He's being a
recommendation.
real jerk lately.
I
Don't do
approve
that, 'cause then he'll
sending
never
the
come back.
recommendations to council. I move that we approve to send recommendations to council.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We have completed our order of business for this evening. And I will reach out to our city attorney first thing in the morning and advise him of what we've done. I will also advise him of the first taxing district's pending correspondence. And I will discuss the opportunity for us to meet on Monday evening.
And then just following up on Diane, you were right. I was looking further down in the document. If we go back to the top of the meeting, the Telesco folks should take a look at the notes from the 25th. So
Will do.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
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 Again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Ken.
appreciate you.
We
Thank you,
Ken,
Ken.
thank you.
Evening.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ken, for leading this group. Appreciate it.